and this is NPU Live presents Speak Your Truth with Vivett Dukes. I know this is a very troubling time, and so just even taking out time out of your schedules to be here tonight, I genuinely appreciate it. I want to start off tonight by having a moment of silence in memory of George Floyd. Thank you. Tonight on Speak Your Truth, we are going to really be hearing from our students and student advocates. They're a population that are too often going unheard in the pandemic in regards to what's going on with remote learning and education, what's going on with the riots and the protests, and the suffering that's going on. We're not hearing enough from how this is impacting our students, our young people. And this has been really weighing on me for a while, even before I started doing these live broadcasts. I was speaking with my colleagues in the National Parents Union saying, we really need to do more to have the voices of young people infused into whatever we're doing, because we're making decisions that impact them, yet we're not truly hearing their voices. And at that time, I was reconnected with a very wonderful friend of mine by the name of Masha. You're going to be meeting her tonight. And a former student of mine connected with me also, reconnected with me. And it was just so beautiful to see how everything was falling into place, how the things that I desired, that I knew needed to be done, were presented before me. And so for that, I'm so grateful to have our two guests tonight, Jordan and Masha. I'm going to allow them each to introduce themselves. And thank you. Hi. Hi. You're muted, Jordan. Unmute. That's okay.
Jordan Jesselyn.
Okay. Hi, Jordan.
Hi.
It's so good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very dear student of mine. I was Jordan's 8th grade English teacher. And what grade are you in now?
I'm in college, freshman year.
Freshman year of college. And, we haven't kept in touch since he graduated. But Jordan, I always remember you as being such an artistic, articulate, very much outside of the box, and very forward with your thinking and with your ability to speak up. And I was always very drawn to that. You are very much taller than the other kids, bigger than the other kids. You dealt with a lot of teasing and bullying and not being understood. And so I found that you really connected with your teachers. And I'm so grateful I was one of those teachers. Grateful I kept my same email addresses, my phone number is the same. So we were able to, touch base with each other. I'm really grateful to have you here tonight, because a lot of what we're talking about affects you, a young Black man. So we need your voice. And I'm glad that you volunteered to raise your voice. Thank you. Masha, my girl. Can I say, y'all, this woman and I, kindred spirits? We're kindred spirits. We met 7 years ago? 8? I don't even know. It was a while ago.
I don't want to count for that. Yeah.
Right?
Getting old. Yeah.
And always involved in education, always involved in making sure there's equity in education. Just from one thing to the next, you've remained consistent in that path, on that path. And I'm so grateful for you for being a white woman who's a friend of mine, who actually uses her privilege to elevate and celebrate the voices and the lives and the plight of others. So I just want to thank you for that. And I thank you. I didn't have to teach you how to do that.
Mm.
You just seem to authentically have a sense of humanity that afforded you the ability to empathize and then act on what you know is right. And as simple as that might seem, ladies and gentlemen, I think if we all are honest about what's going on, it's not happening as often as it should. So I'd like to start off with you, Jordan, if you could tell us what really made you want to come on tonight and what do you have to share with us?
I have to share my artwork, drawings, poetry, a video. I just feel like this time is crazy. Like I feel like we're living in the most craziest episode of the Twilight Zone. Like it is crazy that feelings aren't being transmitted and recepted. It's like so weird. Like I'm screaming, I'm crying for help, and people do not hear me. You know what I'm saying? And that is worse than anything in the world. I don't know how to, fathom that. Like how to, it's hard to explain. But that is the worst thing ever, to just not be understood, to, you know, be looked at by a cop and, just have like a whole situation go down where it's like I'm looked at as, you know, the bad guy and I'm profiled and whatnot. And it's like, I don't want to be seen like the next person. I don't want to be another statistic. You know, it's scared that any day I could die if, I just stepped into the wrong area, the wrong part of the neighborhood. And it's always like, it's your fault that happened, the wrong time in the wrong place. But I just feel like that's bullshit. Like that's that. I just feel like that's so wrong to treat somebody like that. To have no humanity. I feel like feelings are, non-biased. They're not racial. I feel like anybody could feel feelings of sadness, um, feelings of pain, and I feel like anybody could feel that. Any race, any gender, anything can feel that. And the fact that you can't see me in pain, you can't see me dying, that is the worst torture ever.
How have you been able to express yourself? Because I hear a plethora of emotions inside. How have you been able to share that or express it?
Um, I've, I shared a video on Instagram of a little girl. She came to me, one of my mom's friends. She lives in Long Island, Long Beach, and she was like, Jordan, there are these kids on Instagram from my school, and white kids, like they're calling me nigger, and they're posting videos about why I don't understand, why they don't understand, why one man's life is making the whole nation go down. Like they're like, oh, I don't understand why this stupid guy's, it's on my Instagram, why this guy life just made the world go up in flames like that. And
So victim blaming, basically.
yeah, basically, and they're like, I understand, but they're like also like putting dirt on it at the same time. And I just felt like I had to put out a video educating white people, like not even white people, like people not of color, because honestly, racism doesn't just, it's not just white people, it's other people too who aren't of color. And that's when I realized, like, okay, it's not about white versus black, it's about racism it's about us versus racist. You know, it's not like a certain group of people. It's not a certain group of people that are oppressing us. Maybe historically you could see it like that, okay. But right now, it's just like everybody's just showing their true colors when it's time to defend us. And it's like, oh my God, everybody wants to say nigga, everybody wants to dress like us, everybody wants to be us. But when it's time to speak up for us,
Crickets.
nobody.
Crickets. There's a book that I remember reading in undergrad, being introduced to, and it's entitled "Everything But the Burden,"
Yeah.
and it talks about how Black culture, hip hop culture, you know, especially in the younger generation of white kids, they love it.
Yeah.
They love it. They love the hip hop. They play it, the dress, the everything. They love the role.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the burden of being Black, not that they could understand it, but to stand up, as you're saying, it's like, oh, hands off. That's
Mhm.
not me.
That has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with
That wasn't me. Slavery was so long ago. Why are you still talking about it? You know,
me.
that tends to be the defense. So, Masha, I'd like to bring you into the conversation because you are part of a movement, the Just Ask Us movement. And could you tell us more about that, please?
Yeah. So I think it was born out of a disconnect that we noticed. We're a group of volunteers made up of parents and students and educators, and we noticed this big disconnect in terms of what was going on during COVID. And the people that have power and privilege and are funded were seeing COVID as a great opportunity for distance learning, for personalized learning, for platform development. And yet the youth and families that we work with, right, the people of color, communities that have been marginalized forever, were saying very different things. And this cuts across the board. They were saying things like, my son isn't benefiting from distance learning. My daughter isn't. So goes the school, so goes the community. We can't just go online. And so we became really disturbed by that disconnect between what those who have power and are in the position to transform were saying, and then what the youth and families were saying. And that's what Just Ask Us is all about. And we're fired up. And we're fired up in light of everything that's going on, because educational justice is racial justice and it's economic justice. That work is, I think, deeply rooted in all of those movements. And we're fired up and we're saying no more. Like, we will hear from 1 million youth and families about their dreams and their hopes for education. We never asked, what are your hopes and dreams? What's even the purpose of it? What should schools stop doing? What should they start doing? What should they continue doing? How do we build bridges between communities and schools, right? Because, you know, where I taught in New York City, it was the school and the community, and those two things were very much severed, and they didn't have to be. And young people are learning the third teacher is all around us, including the violence that's happening, right? Every day on the streets and police brutality. That's a third teacher. And so really hear from youth and families, what are your dreams and hopes and images of possibility for an education system that right now is transforming? And it's transforming behind a curtain, right? And 40% budget cuts, 300,000 teachers at least are going to lose their jobs. There's a reckoning. The system has to change. It's not choosing to change, it's being forced to change right now. And there's no way that families and youth should be left out of the conversation about how it has to change, because this is the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd like to share something with you guys because I think it's important we note that the change is not taking place just in isolation. The change is not the ones championing for the change. It's not just happening in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
No revolution has ever been won with just one group of people. It takes a collective voice of people in order to make the change. This is part of why I really implore people of all diverse cultures, please come together and help. As Jordan rightfully said, what's going on, whether we're talking about education, COVID-19 pandemic, protesting, police brutality, it impacts us all. And so my husband recently went to one of the protests out here, and I live on Long Island, and he was really shocked at the diversity of the crowd of protesters. And I think mainstream media is doing a very deliberate and great job of showing looters, and we need to differentiate between what looters do and what protesters do. So if you give me a moment, I'd just like to share that and just provide a visual for our conversation tonight. One moment. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Look at me getting all tech savvy, y'all.
Yeah, doing it.
Love it. Are you seeing the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was in Suffolk County, Long Island. That's my husband, John. Look at the crowd. How can all lives matter when Black lives don't? Why is racism so controversial? Black Lives Matter, say their name. And again, look who's holding the signs. It was important. I know my husband came home like, whoa, I can't believe it. Look who's out there. Like everyone's joining together. And overwhelmingly, it was youth. It was youth. It was youth. And I'm just so, I need to say that I need to highlight the youth. We need to highlight our youth. We need to highlight the importance of our youth, the role that they play in everything going on, because we need their energy, their fervor, their desire for a better world. And quite frankly, we owe it to them. So you want to know what to do? The youth are saying, just ask us. We'll tell you. We'll tell you what to do. That's what I heard Jordan say to me. I have ideas. I have things that I want to share, and I think they're really good, and I think they would be helpful. Jordan, I'd like you to share some of your art where he's very, as I said, artistic and multifaceted, many modalities. He's an artist, he's a poet. Talk about your work.
Well, this is a piece I made. This is I mean, it doesn't really look like me, but it has my skin color, my hair, it has my features. And this is me as a young kid, younger. This is me wearing my Nike tech, cause you know, Black kids, they love their Nike, they love brands and stuff like that. So this is me with a gunshot in my chest because, you know, I feel as if being a Black man, you'll probably never grow past a certain age. And I feel like I probably never could imagine myself growing past 19, 21. And these colors represent my sexuality. Well, I'm not bi because this is just pink and blue and purple, but it just represents a few colors that's on the flag of the rainbow. And the burning can represents what's hard to see can be hard to accept. The hand covering my face is a black and white hand. It represents people choosing not to see me, I guess. It represents me covering my eye because I have to cover up who I am, my Blackness, you know, my sexuality, You know, all of the crossroads that I am under, which, you know, sadly makes me even more of a target, even more likely of dying. Um, yeah, so that's what this represents. The burning hand. Oh yeah, I said that. But yeah,
Wow, thank you.
yeah,
Grown so much as an artist, Jordan.
yeah. I tried. I tried. Um, and also I made a video. Like I try to use my platforms as much as I can. I made a video on Instagram, addressing the video that my um that the little girl had sent me of the white boy saying what he said, and I tried to be as articulate and emotional as possible because I feel like I said I feel like emotions translate. Like it doesn't matter what race you are, what color you are, emotion translate and you can feel them too. So I had made a video on Instagram. I don't have it up on my computer, but I do have another video that I did work on TikTok. It's not up yet, but it is something that me and my friends are working on. My part is all that I have because um it's not released yet, so I can't show anybody else's part yet. But I will try to show as much as I can from my view.
Okay.
So um recently I got diagnosed with anxiety.
Mm.
And wait, how do I can you guys see the video?
We see your screen right now. I see it, yeah.
Okay. So it speaks for itself.
We didn't see we just heard, and then it stopped.
Do you see the full screen?
No,
Okay, wait, maybe it's on the wrong one.
all the your
Yeah, we see your desktop.
thank you.
Wait, how do I get it to the video?
Mm, try double clicking it to see if it pops out. No.
Masha, do you have your stuff up? You can stop sharing, Jordan, and try to figure it out on your end. And
Got you.
get it up, we can come back and have you share it. That's fine.
Right.
Because I know, Masha, you had some things you wanted to share also. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering, like, well, why are we having this conversation? What's the connection here? Well, the connection is that you have people in a movement, volunteers saying, there's a disconnection between what's going on, what's needed, and who we're getting our information from about what's needed. And then we have a young man saying here, who is a student, the very population they're talking about, really saying, yeah, they're right, because no one's hearing from me. And so we at Speak Your Truth, we at the National Parents Union are very invested in making sure that those voices that are traditionally unheard, that are not included in these spaces, in these conversations, are heard and are elevated and are at the forefront of decisions being made, not after the fact being told, well, this is what you're going to do. No, that is also part of the disruption of the status quo that is happening. Jordan, I see you have it up and ready.
Yes, I do. You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay.
All's my life I has to fight, nigga. All's my life hard times like yeah, bad chips like yeah. Nazareth, I'm fucked up, homie, you fucked up. But if God got us, then we gon' be alright, right? Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Huh? We gon' be.
And can you explain that to us, please, Jordan? Although I think I get a lot of what you're saying there in that video.
I do not know his exact name, but I've seen on the news that it was this patient who was black and he had just gotten out of whatever the case may be. He had some sort of mental illness, and before the cops even cared to think about that, they shot him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Seems like through your art, there's some healing going on as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Masha. Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan.
Cause about what 2 days ago, I had a panic attack, and I thought I had everything in the book. Um, and then I was just so scared because I thought if I had COVID and I just exposed everybody to it, that that is the worst feeling they could ever imagine. So they had diagnosed me with anxiety and muscle musculoskeletal pain, which is it refers to aches in your bones, joints, muscles, tissues surrounding them. It can occur in any part of the body. It can last for a short time, acute or a long time accurate. So like every day, whenever I'm under stress, that's why I try to stay calm. I could, have a anxiety attack, and in my body, it just is in spasms and pains, and by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. And yeah, they also diagnosed me with fibro. I can't even pronounce it. It's something. It's like a problem in my throat that whenever I'm under stress, like my throat inflames and
Closing?
huh?
Does it feel like it's closing?
Yeah, basically, like it's horrible.
These
So
are stress induced.
yes.
I thank you for being so transparent in sharing your art, in sharing what drives your art, in sharing how the murders that are taking place, the police brutality, the lack of student voice and being included in conversations. Literally, what I hear you saying is it's choking you. It has you feeling like you are, like you can't breathe. The anxiety that you did not have before that you have now. So for people who think this is not real, this is not a big deal, why are they out there doing this? This is why our children are under anxiety, stress, fear, pain, physical, emotional, mental duress. Oh my God. Masha, how does Just Ask Us support students like Jordan and so many other students across the nation?
I just want to honor Jordan for speaking his truth there. I think Jordan just spoke about an experience that we seldom hear about. I mean, teachers hear about it, right? Parents hear about it, but that we seldom hear about it. We seldom uplift, and yet it's happening, to your point and to Jordan's point, all the time. And it's not just this week, it's all the time. Mm-hmm. Mental health supports in our schools are not there, right? The conversation about, Jordan, when you were in high school, like, how are you doing? Like a conversation with young people about what's going on. And so our hope is that it would support a much deeper understanding of the language that communities are using to describe the whole experience of education, which isn't just academic, right? But it's much deeper, it's personal. It's about my community. It's about social justice. It's about racial justice. It's about inequity. It's about how I feel when I'm in that school. It's about how I feel when there are security guards in that school who are yelling at me, right? It's about all of those things that we're already hearing in this movement. That narrative is much richer and much more complex than what the powers that be have focused on. And that needs to end. We have to hear the truth. We have to hear all of that language, all of that full narrative, comprehensive narrative of what is really going on. And then one needs to change. So Jordan, in terms of your own experience, I mean, here, this is Just Ask Us, right? We don't care if it's one conversation or 10 people have a conversation or 1,000 people take a survey. So welcome to Just Ask Us. Thank you for what you just shared. And my question to you is like, what to you is educational justice? What would that mean to you? You're in college now. What would that actually mean?
Educational justice to me would mean being considerate of, you know, everybody and, you know, their learning disabilities and whatnot, because, you know, I had to take online classes and I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask to, you know, take online classes. I didn't ask for this to happen. And they just threw everything at me. I was taking art classes. I was doing perfectly fine. I was doing perfectly fine in school and whatnot. I didn't ask for this. And then, you know, it's easy and whatnot, but when you get to the subjects that are, you know, hard to manage, such as, for me, I have dyscalculia, so math was always hard for me. So learning math from a distance, learning and then them just giving you text and stuff like that online and then them expecting you to understand, like, that's very stressful. Like, I feel like I had to like get through the semester by like the skin of my nails, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to like really try hard and, you know, do the best I can. Because math is, it's just not my subject. Even though I do try hard in it, you know, but it would have been better to like, you know, continue my math classes like on campus, you know, because that's something that, you know, I struggle with as a student. I feel like also education equality means we learn about everything, not just white people, you know, and, you know, white people from America, because I feel like the narrative that they give us is so jacked and so messed up, and it's like there's more to history than the civil rights movement, and they don't even portray it in a right, you know, light. A lot of the stuff that they teach us is from the US perspective and like a white perspective. You know, we don't get to learn about our culture. We get to learn about America's culture, you know, and that's not something you don't really see yourself represented in unless it's like Black History Month or, you know, it's like the civil rights movement, and that happens to be like the only thing they'll teach you about, and that's what, like 2 seconds, and then it's back to the white people, the Europeans. So yeah, I wish that you could see yourself in the education. I feel like this whole movement right now, like all of the people dying, like in the future, I feel like this will just be in the textbooks, like, oh, I can't breathe, you know, George Floyd, you know, Breonna Taylor, like all of these people who've died will be in the history books, and we will say their names on a daily basis. Like, it's so interesting how, you know, people today, like, they're so mad, like, oh my God, I'm tired of hearing about racism. I'm tired of hearing about Black people. I'm tired of hearing about, you know, the people who've died. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just a life. It's just a Black person. But it's like, you can't take 2 seconds to learn about like the civil rights movement. You can't take 2 seconds to learn about our history, but we learn about your history every day. Like, imagine how mad we are, but we have to swallow it and take that pill because who gives a fuck? Who cares? No one cares. Like, that's just how it is. And we have to take it, and that's the honest truth. And that's that.
Taking it for so long, we pay a price. We pay a price.
Thank you.
You said what?
I said thanks.
Oh, no problem.
Masha, would you like to share some more about the data that you've collected so far around the need to hear the voices of students as we, meaning the adults, are making all these decisions?
Yeah, this is the thing that I can share one slide that I think really captures this. You mean like the why behind this? Why? Yeah,
Being done as if Jordan's testimony wasn't enough.
right. So that's the most interesting thing about. Can you all see this?
Yes.
That's the most interesting thing to me about this as we're talking to people. As you said, Jordan, um, people seem to get easily tired by things that are important that we should be talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, folks will say, well, parents are involved. Well, it's like, yeah, some parents are involved in education, but if you look at this graphic on the left, they're involved their involvement really depends on their level of graduation, socioeconomic status, power, and privilege, essentially. So sure, yeah, some parents are involved and they're on boards. But writ large, that's just not the case. And what do we mean by involved, right? Do we mean like the work that National Parents Union is doing, which is activism? Or do we mean you just asked them to give you some input on something that's already been designed? It's a little too late to really do anything with that input. What does being involved really mean? Like, what does it actually really mean? We want to know that from families and from parents. And then students, and I mean, I love what you said, Jordan, about not seeing yourself ever in the history, Black History Month, right? Like, where am I? Like, so many young people we're talking to are saying exactly what you said. Where am I in the learning experience? Where are people that look like me in our schools? Where are the Black teachers, right? Black and brown teachers in my schools. And young people know the difference between being tokenized in terms of their voice, right? Like being asked, like, how you doing? And having real decision-making power. They know that difference, and they're very clear about that difference. And what we know is when they have true decision-making power, for example, you're sitting on a student board, you're sitting on a board of a district, and 50% of that board is represented by students, right? That's powerful. That's real decision-making power. When students have that level of voice, they're 7 times more likely to be academically motivated, right? To be like, I matter here. What I'm doing here matters. And so it's time to change the current state. And that's really what we're hoping to get at. And I'll just show you one more thing. Just super simple. That problem statement is super simple. The same players, you know them, you can name them, you know who they are, have been reimagining schools on behalf of families and young people rather than alongside of them for centuries. And that just needs.
Look like Jordan, and they're not people that look like me.
Nope. And it's like you got to recenter power back to families and youth, back to the communities in terms of this conversation. And that's what this is about. And that's why 1 million. And we want to go above 1 million. So if y'all can help us get above 1 million, that's even better. 10 million, let's do 30 million. What are youth and families saying needs to change? That's what we want to hear.
And how do people get in contact with your movement, get activated with your movement, become a part of that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, they see me post things on social media. Like, I've posted a TikTok where it was like, the swipe challenge, swipe, swipe, swipe. And by the time I'm done swiping, I'm gone. Like it's supposed to mimic the fact that Black people are dying, Black men are dying. So it says rest in peace. So after I posted that, that's when the little girl, she texted me. She was like, hey, Jordan, can you make a video about this? And I was like, I was heartbroken because, she's like family to me, and I'm mad that she had to go through that. So I made a video about it. And also I have friends from, my college program that I used to go to in high school, sending me pictures of people that are in that same program who were taught, inequality. I mean, taught about inequality and are educated on, social topics that are, going on in America. And those same people are posting things that are ridiculous. Like, I don't know if it's real. I know it's probably not. It's probably fake. But it's a picture of George Floyd in a, Pornhub video.
Mm.
And that kind of like defeats the whole purpose. And I was so angry and I was so mad. And it was an Asian young boy. And you know, my friend, she pressed him. She was like, Andy, like, why would you do this, that, and the third? And then she sent me the picture in the video, and like everybody's coming to me to like make videos about topics and to educate people. And then it's just like sometimes it just makes me realize, like, is that even my job to educate people? Like, or is this something that normal people should have? Some humanity, some common sense to do certain things and not do certain things. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like I was just angry because that kid is in my program. He's literally taught about racial injustice and inequality and everything in the book, like, and he still chose to post that and make a joke about it, dark humor. But that defeats the whole purpose of the movement, because you know why? People are going to look at that video and say, okay, he was a porno star, like, why not kill him? Like, he had a fake counterfeit bill, so who cares? Like, he was like a bad person anyways, so like, why even matter if he was like a black person and he died? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, people will take the littlest things to switch the narrative of the bigger message, and that is so disgusting, and it is sickening, and it is exhausting, and I'm tired of being mad.
Mm.
I'm tired of being angry. So I posted it. I said I didn't want to make a video about it because just being the person I am, I always have to like think about other reasons to do certain things, because I'm black, I'm gay, so I always have to explain myself. So in that first video where I addressed the white kid who made the video and the little girl sent me, I had to explain myself about being black. Like, I have to explain myself about being gay, and it's tiring, it's exhausting. Like,
A lot of work to do.
yeah, it's a lot of work to do, and that's not my job. Like, that's your parents' job. That's the community that raised you, job. And a lot of these white kids, a lot of these people of non-color do not see that, and it's exhausting. And I can't educate everybody, and I can't get to everybody, because you know what? Sometimes people just don't care, and it shows.
But I do see you reaching people, and I do see in part of the reimagining of what school looks like, what education looks like, is teaching our students, or having our students teach us how they've been using social media platforms as activism platforms, because that's what I hear you doing. So sometimes we have a tendency to think like, oh, they're just on TikTok dancing and it's foolishness, when actually, from what I hear you saying, it's not all foolishness. That's a platform. It's a way for your voice to be heard, for your experiences to be shared. And you're actually using it as an educational tool, which is like, I applaud you for that, because it's very easy to just clap back. Clapping back is easy.
No, I feel like
Not time.
it's so much anger in this world, and I feel like, okay, at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was mad. I was so angry, but then I came to it with a clear mind, because that's what I always have to do as a black gay man. Like, I have to like bite my tongue and explain myself. I can't be mad. I can't be angry. So my idea is that the youth are the future, and I feel as if you could get to the young people, the young white people, the young non-people of color, everybody, if they all could believe the same thing, who cares? Because at one point, all of these racist people are going to die off. They're older, they're going to die off, and then it's us, the emerging adults, the teenagers, the kids, we're the future. So I feel like if we could all get on the same page, who cares what these older guys are doing? Who cares how long it lasts? Because they're not going to live that long. It's sad to say, but that's the honest truth. So,
Masha, you've gotten an earful. You've gotten a lot of data right there.
yeah.
Yeah. I sure did. And I appreciate your point about how young people, first of all, young people are running our social media and website. I'm not about to try to do that as a volunteer adult person. No way, Jordan. I'm like, go ahead. I don't even know anything about TikTok. So I was like, yep, do the TikTok thing, whatever y'all need to do. But that's the other incredible thing. I think there's what we're hearing based on these questions. And that's the one thing to note is like the questions are the only thing that's common about this work of Just Ask Us. So there's a set of questions and they're real simple and I'm happy to share them with you all. And we made sure we worked in communities across the board to make sure that these questions really landed, that they yielded productive conversation. And so that's the only thing that's common. We're saying, hey, answer one of these questions, answer all 6 of these questions. But the how our partners get the questions out there is really up to them. And so Vivett is one example of an organization, they're student-led, and they're going to be using social media. And then somebody else is using a QR code and putting that into a graduation packet. And somebody else is going to be hosting conversations like this. So one person, 5 people, 10 people, or 1,000 people, right? It all matters because the language, the experiences like of the sort that you're sharing, Jordan, are really, really powerful. And to answer your earlier question about how to get involved, I'm happy to share this deck with anyone. Students have built our website. So it's a work in progress, but they did it. I don't even know how. They did it in like 24 hours. I'm a little amazed. Wow, it's really dark here, huh? Let me turn this on.
Thank you.
Woo! And so there's a website, just askusmovement.org. It's a work in progress, but I can also share this deck with you all. And then, you know, there are a couple of different ways to connect with this movement. And one of them is if you have 30 minutes, if you have an hour, and you're like, you know what, I want to be a part of this. I want to design strategy. I want to figure out who to go reach out to. I want to be on the social media team. We just ask you what your genius is, and then volunteers just join any team that really just gives them joy, frankly. Like, what's your jam? All right, that's where you go. So that's how we match volunteers to the work. If all you can do is connect us to other organizations or young people that you think would really want to be a part of this movement, we'll take it. We're super grateful for that. And then partnering with us is another opportunity. And again, that we talk to partners about that. So it's really up to our partners how they want to partner. We don't impose sort of an agenda on them or make an ask. We work together to really figure out what would it take for you to hear from your communities. So those are some of the ways.
That's justaskus.org.
Justaskusmovement.org for the justaskus.org was already taken. To the sadness of our young people, but that was their workaround. So yeah.
Awesome. So everyone, you can go to justaskusmovement.org if you're more interested in connecting with this movement, especially if you are a student, a youth, they're the voice that they're looking for. So please go to justaskusmovement.org. We have a few more minutes tonight. We're at the close of our show. And Jordan, I would really, first of all, I want to thank both of you because this particular show came together so organically. Masha, I've been wanting you to come on since like the first or second show, and we kept going back and forth. And then when Jordan reached out to me, I asked him, hey, would you be interested? And he was like, yes, absolutely. This is just what I am like looking for, a way to share what I'm going through. And I just am really grateful to both of you for demonstrating what it means to come together across generations, across racial lines, yet still focused on the same agenda, the same objective. You are providing a demonstrative way to show America and anyone watching it can be done. It starts like this: have a conversation, provide a safe space in which to have a conversation, to hear the other side. This is not someone these conversations should not happen in isolation. They should not be happening only in brick and mortar school buildings. And quite frankly, they should not only be happening when something tragic happens. The conversation needs to be
Keep on
ongoing.
going.
So while I am dismayed that it took so long for the conversation to happen and what it took for the conversation to happen, we're having it. You're pioneering it. You're doing it. You came to a safe space and you both were so great. And I'm just really, my heart is so full because I've been really heavy this week. Really heavy. This is probably the best I've been, and it's because I feel safe here. I'm with people that I can. I've had tension in my neck all week. That's where I carry things because I'm tight. Sleep pattern has been off, and I'm like you, Jordan. Like, is this COVID related? Like, what is this about? Because there's just so much going on.
So much, so much.
And thank you for reminding me about my artistic expression, Jordan. About poetry, about things that I used to do and not sure where I left them along the road. But life happened and they got discarded to some extent or definitely put on the back burner. And just in the past few days of talking to you, I've written, drawing. I just feel like this is why we need youth, because youth have energy. Youth bring invigoration. Youth bring things that as you get older, I'll speak for myself, I do become more jaded. I am tired. I'm still fired up. Don't mess with me. But don't get it twisted. But but at the same time, I do feel a part of me has kind of become more adjusted or like, well, this is the way it is. And just thank you both. Thank you. Jordan, I'd like to give you, Masha, do you have anything else to say? Because I'd like Jordan.
Let's go to Jordan.
I know, yes, I know you have a poem that
Yes.
you wanted to share, and we're going to close out with that. So you won't hear my voice again. Thank you to those who have joined with us. Thank you for those who will see this broadcast. I now present to you Mr. Jordan Jesslin.
Title, Dear Blank America, by me, Jordan Prince Jesselyn. Dear Silent America, I hope this letter finds you well. Are you emotionally and physically wealthy? Is your soul still intact? Did something incapacitate your heart today? Has this bizarre sensation take over as if the oxygen you are inhaling is not enough to satisfy your will to live? I can't breathe. Dear privileged America, have you ever felt so disabled and futile, although you have been competent and effective since you were a little babe being pushed out of the womb, held in your mother's arm, only to be taken away? A panoramic view, slowly, smoothly transitioning into utterly nothingness, darkness, death, despair. I have died. Dear prejudiced America, at the end of a long, exhausting day, on a journey back home, have you ever caught any of the ABCDPDs in the peripheral vision of your left eye, hesitant to make immediate, undeviating eye contact? So that slouch adapts to a back straight and shoulders wide. And you sprinkle a little pep in both steps in order to make it home for dinner. I have changed my posture. Dear racist America, have you ever fathomed the fact of what could possibly be? And saying quietly, if I go today, if I go today, if I go today, I go today, I go today, go today, go today, 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 today. I would have not lived to see tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. But today I would have lived till my last breath, for I can say I have lived a life fruitfully obeyed, and I did the best I can to suffice. So today, I went today, and today, I saw today. For today was not intended, yet all I was given. So today, I am happy with today. I am content with today. I have sung, Dear America, have you ever thought you would never grow old, but eternally live for today? I have cried,